discussing sexual orientation. At best, it's childish in that you'd be conflating the words sexuality and sexual into one concept simply because it has the word sex in it. But again, Ben Shapiro literally called Luke Skywalker an indoctrinator of sexual ideology after he simply said the word gay a bunch. It's very funny that they pretend that's not what they're concerned about while literally being openly concerned about it, you know? You can't claim the bill isn't telling teachers not to say gay and then claim that tweeting the word gay is grooming kids. That's like saying you're not scared of spiders and then shitting your pants while watching Charlotte's Web. At the end of the day, even though it is more insidious and will probably cause violence, the term groomer is basically being used as the new woke that was the new CRT that was the new SJW. It's a broad, vague term that conservatives use when they can't just flat out say what they mean, because what they mean is widely accepted as hateful when said aloud. And they know this. They know that anti-LGBTQ stances are dying. A 2021 PBS NewsHour poll found that when asked directly about whether or not trans people should have access to all the things these bills are trying to take away, 2/3 of Americans were against laws that would limit transgender rights. This wasn't just liberals either, but spread out through every ideology and age group. Young people are, of course, more accepting of racial and LGBTQ minorities than their parents and grandparents, and younger generations see changes to society and family structures as positives. So instead of saying anti-trans laws, they have to go with anti-groomer in the hopes of invoking irrational fears, or, as we discussed, rational concerns dealt with irrationally. Honestly, I'm surprised they don't do this more often. I mean, they absolutely do, but not nearly as much as they could. You want to limit healthcare rights? Call it health grooming instead. Why should the government pay to have some anatomy-obsessed stranger look inside of our bodies? I'm now against that. All pediatricians are pedophiles now. Both words start the same, don't they? However, unlike most of those previous words we mentioned, groomer and pedophile are actual terms that mean something, especially to victims of sexual abuse. It is profoundly ironic that by co-opting those phrases, the people pretending to care about sexual abuse are actually making it harder for victims. After all, the same way terms like woke have lost all meaning, so too will these very real concepts. If you call any old person that refuses to use your experimental submarine a pedophile, then you make it so people will automatically tune out actual credible accusations of pedophilia. But again, and I really can't stress this enough, they don't actually care about pedophilia or groomers. If they did, they would perhaps be more concerned about the shocking pattern of Republican lawmakers getting in trouble for just that, including our good buddy Matt Gaetz being involved in a fucking sex trafficking scandal, and the last GOP president of the United States openly creeping on teenage beauty queens. Also, the longest serving Speaker of the House, former GOP representative and convicted pedophile, Dennis Hastert. I'm not using the term pedophile or groomer loosely, like conservatives are doing. These are literal cases of GOP figures getting in trouble for literal acts against minors. Oh, also, you know who else the GOP loves who famously sexually abused children? Cops! It's actually a big problem. Let me just read a few sentences out loud. A 2003 national study by the Police Professionalism Initiative written by Professor Samuel Walker at the University of Nebraska at Omaha found that 40% of reported cases of police sexual misconduct involved teens, often young women involved in youth engagement and job shadowing programs. Let's see any more sentences to read. Ah, yes, okay. A 2010 study by the Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank that tracks police wrongdoing, found that sexual misconduct by law enforcement generates more citizen complaints than any other factor except for excessive force. Surely I have more sentences. Oh, okay, yes, here we go. A database compiled by the Buffalo News reports that from 2005 to 2015, a law enforcement official was caught in a case of sexual abuse or misconduct at least every 5 days. There are still a lot of states where cops can rape detainees, say it was consensual, which is literally impossible because they're detained, and get away with it. Oh, and follow up on that 2003 study that found 40% of reported cases of sexual misconduct by cops to involve teens. Here's a separate study from 2014 that found reported cases of sexual misconduct involving teens to be 43.1%. So I guess cops can improve. Great job to the boys in blue. Also, 15% of the victims were under 14. 8% were under 12. So, I don't know. It's just weird that we're not seeing any "don't say you're a cop" bills. Curious what that's about. None of this is subjective.